He doesn't have a right to open carry?
Guys, I have a permit. I mean, just cover it up. We're gonna go across the street.
You don't have a right to detain him, do you? Without that, hey, let's do this. Let him show his permit. He's not gonna pull out a gun on you. Let him show his permit.
Guys, I have a permit.
Hey, can't even ask him if he has a permit.
Riot gear for what? A riot? Peacefully assembling. It's in our Constitution. These motherfuckers didn't get the memo though. Look at that. You guys think this is a joke? This is what's coming to your house next. You don't want to take the vaccines? You don't want to do what the government wants? Motherfuckers like this are going to show up.
Do your job!
Took care of the red coats once. Hey, red coat! Ever hear 1770? You're gonna throw me around! Heil Hitler! Heil Hitler! The winner! The winner! The winner! You're a tyrannous tyrant! Do you bow down to a dictatorship? So the Heil the winner! You policemen are all cowards! You betrayed us! The police have betrayed the people! You work for socialist radicals! You enjoy the people's rights being taken from them?
Thought you were getting respectable positions and realized nobody respects you. Nobody respects anything you guys do. You guys are not first responders.
You're filthy rats! You're rats! Rats have infiltrated America!
I just want to follow up with this nice lady just announced, all right? Whatever they decide about the executive order, we want to give you the right to voice your First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, and we please just beg you to keep, if you guys keep doing what you're doing, we're all good.
President Trump has been trying to rewrite the timeline on his coronavirus response.
I think our whole group has been spectacular.
So here are the facts. In 2014, the Obama-Biden administration put together the Global Health Security Unit within the White House National Security Council.
We have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly.
They also assembled a 69-page pandemic response playbook. Now, in 2018, President Trump fired the Global Health Security Unit.
I'm a business person. I don't like having thousands of people around when you don't need them.
He also declined to renew CDC epidemic prevention funding, causing it to downsize in 39 countries, including China. Now, reporting from ABC suggests that intelligence officials were warning about this new disease emerging from China as early as November 2019.
Nobody would have ever thought a thing like this could have happened.
The administration has disputed that, but we know that at least as early as January 3rd, the White House National Security Council was briefed. In January, before Germany had a single case of the coronavirus, they began working on a test. January 8th, the CDC issued its first warning. On January 9th, the World Health Organization issued its first warning. And that night, President Trump held a rally.
And America's future has never, ever looked brighter.
On January 10th, the World Health Organization issued a comprehensive package of technical guidance with advice to all countries for how to detect, test, and manage potential cases. January 18th, Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar tried to have an urgent phone call with the president about the crisis. The president reportedly cut him off to berate him about his efforts to ban flavored vaping products. President Trump then hung up and went golfing. January 19th, President Trump went golfing again. January 20th, this was the first confirmed case of the coronavirus in the US. It was also the first confirmed case of the coronavirus in South Korea. The response of the two countries could not be more different. Within the first 2 weeks of that case, South Korea had implemented nationwide testing. Perhaps that's why, as of the beginning of May 2020, South Korea has fewer than 250 deaths, while the United States has had over 65,000. Given the difference in population size, you would expect the US to have a death rate 6 times that of South Korea. Instead, it is over 250 times that of South Korea. On January 22nd, asked whether he was worried, President Trump said,
No, we're not at all, and we have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It's going to be just fine.
On January 23rd, China shut down all of Wuhan. The World Health Organization held an international news conference, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer called for a public health emergency. President Trump did not declare it. On January 24th, President Trump tweeted, "China has been working hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will all work out well." On January 27th, Joe Biden wrote an op-ed warning that President Trump was failing to take this crisis seriously and needed to take more immediate action. On January 28th, Elizabeth Warren released her coronavirus plan. That night, President Trump held another rally. On January 29th, President Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, sent an urgent White House memo warning of the risk of the virus. Only then was a task force formed. January 30th, China locked down all of Hubei province. The World Health Organization declared a global health emergency. That night, President Trump held a rally. February 1st, Trump goes golfing. February 2nd, only then did a partial travel restriction on China go into effect.
Well, we pretty much shut it down, coming in from China.
39 countries had travel restrictions on China earlier or at the same time, and many had much more comprehensive restrictions. At least 430,000 people arrived in the US from China since January 1st. This included nearly 40,000 in the 2 months after President Trump's travel restrictions. While he claims that they saved thousands of lives, Dr. Jennifer Nuzzo, an epidemiologist at Johns Hopkins, says, quote, "We have not seen any evidence that shows that the travel restrictions stopped or slowed down transmission of the virus." February 3rd, the World Health Organization released a strategic preparedness and response plan. February 5th, Secretary Azar requested $4 billion to fight the virus. This led to a shouting match in the White House. February 6th, the World Health Organization began distributing 250,000 tests around the world. The US didn't want any. We'd produce our own. Around that time, the CDC produced a total of 90 tests, which turned out to be faulty. February 10th, President Trump proposed a budget that would cut CDC funding by 16%. That day, he said,
The virus. They're working hard. Looks like by April, in theory, when it gets a little warmer, it miraculously goes away. I hope that's true.
February 15th, President Trump went golfing. February 19th, he held another rally. February 20th, he held another rally. February 23rd, Peter Navarro sounded another alarm within the White House, warning of the increasing probability of a full-blown COVID-19 pandemic. Only the next day does President Trump finally ask Congress for additional funding. But that same day, he tweeted, "The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. Stock market starting to look very good to me." On February 26th,
You treat this like a flu. Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. We think that in almost all cases, the better we're getting. We have a total of 15.
there were more than 15 cases that day. There were 60. And now there are 1.1 million. February 27th.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear.
February 28th.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. And this is their new hoax.
The very next day was the first confirmed U.S. death. Washington State declared a state of emergency. March 4th, he did an interview with Fox News where he suggested that it might be okay to go to work with the coronavirus.
We have thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that get better, just by, sitting around and even going to work. Some of them go to work, but they get better.
March 5th, California and Maryland declared states of emergency. March 6th, Kentucky and Utah declared states of emergency. He went to visit the CDC wearing a campaign hat and said,
Anybody right now and yesterday, anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the test.
It wasn't true then. In May, it's still not true. March 7th, New York declares a state of emergency and President Trump goes golfing. March 8th, he golfed again. March 9th, he compared coronavirus to the flu in a tweet and suggested it would go away on its own. March 10th.
It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away.
On March 11th, the World Health Organization said it was not just a global health emergency, it was a pandemic.
WHO has been assessing this outbreak around the clock, and we're deeply concerned both by the alarming levels of spread and severity and by the alarming levels of inaction. COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Only on March 13th does President Trump finally declare a national emergency. On March 16th, in a call with governors, he tells them,
respirators, ventilators, all of the equipment, try getting it yourselves.
On March 17th, he finally admitted this is a pandemic, and he told reporters,
I've always known this is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries.
This is only days after he was still comparing it to the flu. On March 26th, President Trump delivered on his America First promise in a way no one could have wanted, as the U.S. overtook the entire rest of the world in cases of coronavirus. As of the beginning of May, the U.S. has 1.1 million cases of the coronavirus and has suffered over 65,000 deaths. Analysis of data from the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation suggests that 90% of the U.S. deaths could have been prevented if the president had issued physical distancing guidelines even 2 weeks earlier, when he had already been warned of the threat for months.
With all of that, it's been an incredible period of time. Because it's true, what you're saying is right. The man and woman power was one of the toughest things.
Are you seeing now that the supplies are what they need to be?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's sporadic. As I talk to my colleagues around the country, certainly there are pockets of areas where PPE is not ideal, but this is an unprecedented time, and the infection control measures that we learned back when we went to school, 1 gown, 1 mask for 1 patient a day or per time, this is a different time. And I've been reusing my N95 mask for a few weeks now. I just broke out a new one to come here just in case I needed to wear it. So PPE has been sporadic, but it's been manageable, and we do what we have to do. We're nurses, and we learn to adapt and do whatever the best thing that we can do for our patients to get the job done and get the care provided. And that's what we're going to continue to do as COVID-19 continues.
Sporadic for you, but not sporadic for a lot of other people.
Oh, no, I agree, Mr. President.
Because
Absolutely.
I've heard the opposite. I've heard that they are loaded up with gowns now, and initially we had nothing. We had empty cupboards, we had empty shelves, we had nothing because it wasn't put there by the last administration. I just saw it yesterday where they're making millions of masks a month in a factory from, in that case it was Arizona. It's great. We have other factories being built now for masks. And for the most part, that was fine, but I've heard we have tremendous supply to almost all places. Tremendous supply. How did you find that? Did you find a good supply? Huh?
I found that we had what we needed.
Good.
We had to change
Thank
the
you.
way we did things, but
You'll end up being a
Mr. President, I just want to add one thing.
There's mourning in America. Today, more than 60,000 Americans have died from a deadly virus Donald Trump ignored. With the economy in shambles, more than 26 million Americans are out of work, the worst economy in decades. Trump bailed out Wall Street, but not Main Street. This afternoon, millions of Americans will apply for unemployment, and with their savings run out, many are giving up hope. Millions worry that a loved one won't survive COVID-19. There's mourning in America, and under the leadership of Donald Trump, our country is weaker and sicker and poorer. And now, Americans are asking, if we have another 4 years like this, will there even be an America?
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history.
How would you rate your response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10.
I want them to be appreciative of me. We have Monday night football type ratings like Bachelor finale.
I have hundreds of millions of people, #1 on Facebook.
We really have done this right.
Did you know I was #1 on Facebook?
People were amazed.
I just found out I'm #1 on Facebook.
Everybody was amazed.
I was never involved in a model.
I've been right a lot.
It was this kind of a model.
And you should say thank you very much.
We've done really an extraordinary job.
Two types of Americans have emerged through this pandemic. Those who sacrifice and those who demand. Those who sacrifice, they're the leaders working tirelessly to save American lives. The millions of Americans that have chosen to stay home despite the hardships. The first responders, the nurses, doctors, people who put themselves in harm's way to help others, no matter the cost to themselves. Those who demand, they protest, threaten, scream with words of selfish entitlement. They fight, but only for themselves, for their interests, their desires, putting their wants ahead of what's right, no matter the cost to anyone else. Yes, there are two kinds of Americans. We already know which American Trump is, the same one he's always been. The important question is, which one are you?
I own a big chunk of the Bank of America building in 1290 Avenue of the Americas that I got from China in a war. Very valuable. I think our relationship with China now might be the best it's been in a long, long time.
I'll be going at some point to Beijing to be with President Xi. We have a great relationship.
We're moving along with the deal with China. China wants to make the deal very much, and we have a good relationship, and we'll see what happens. love China. People say, oh, you don't like China. No, I love them.